interviewing. This is St. Mary's College, and it is November 16th. Okay, and as I said, Merideth Taylor, and I'm interviewing Everlyn Holland. That's Holland, and we are doing this as part of the Oral History Project for the Unified Committee for African-American Contributions. Okay, so we're going to start off with the first question, and feel free to, if something comes to you, don't worry about staying with the format, but the question is, what were the times like when you were a child? How did you, for example, how did you and your family live? What did they eat?
I need to sort of remember that. Well, we lived from the land mostly. My mother and my father, we had a garden, and we raised pigs, chickens, and that's how we lived. We went to the store for staple things like flour and sugar, but eggs, vegetables, those things came from the land. We lived on 1 acre of land.
On 1 acre. And how large was the garden?
The garden, probably a ½ acre of ground, was cultivated for potatoes, sweet potatoes, greens, string beans, all those things that people usually ate.
And did everyone participate in the gardening work?
Everyone had to participate if you wanted to eat. Your food came from there, so you had to participate. You had to get the bugs off the potatoes. It was a matter of survival or being close. If you didn't take care of that, you did not eat. So you had to take care of that.
Okay. Were times better or worse than they are now, and why?
Better as in a relative to what?
Yeah.
I guess you would say it's better in that you don't have to go out and hoe the ground or plow the ground, raise your own food, that particular thing. But that's a physical thing. It might be physically better, but I think it's just relative to where you are. And I guess in creature comforts, it's better.
I know that there's a lot of possibilities. Okay, and if you think more about that, if you want to come back to that at any time,
Sure.
too. Okay, what is your earliest memory?
My earliest memory, in fact, I have 2 early memories. One was going to, I don't know why it stuck in my mind or why it still sticks in my mind, and it has been confirmed by my relative, was going to a funeral when I was, I don't know, must have been 2.5, maybe 3. I remember going to a funeral. My uncle held me in his arms, and we were at the grave site, and it was rainy and muddy, so he took me up in his arms, and I remember that clearly, and talked to him about it, and been to the church since then, and know the lady who was buried, so it was a memory that had substance and could be verified.
Mm-hmm. And how old do you think you?
I was about 3.
About 3. Yeah.
Right.
And you want to talk about the other one?
And the other memory was concerning Santa Claus.
Ah.
My mother made a lot of stuff. She made hats, she made decorations, she sewed, she made our clothes, and she made dolls, she made decorations, she made a lot of stuff. And, well, a lot of the things we got for Christmas were made. So I had wanted a doll with a cradle, and a mattress. And she had this Singer sewing machine, a pedal, foot pedal kind. And I saw her with this particular striped material, ticking material, making something. I didn't know what. But she said, you have to go to sleep. If you don't go to sleep, Santa Claus won't come, and whatever. But I saw her making this like a little pillow. And then the next day was Christmas, of course. Went in and getting this doll out and pulled back. And when I saw that ticking, that stripe ticking, I thought, you were making that pillow. And that was the end of Santa Claus. And so I confronted her, and I said, I saw you put that there. I saw you making it, and I knew you stuffed it and whatever. So she said, well, let me tell you this. The mother is the Santa and the father is the Claus, and we act as Santa Claus. So I guess at that time, I was about 6 when that happened. Stuck in my mind. Right.
That's great. Yeah. Were you very disappointed?
No.
No.
I was, in fact, I was happy to know that it was close. My mother and father. That was close. I am leery and suspicious of things that are far off and away. Santa Claus is a nebulous something far off and away. But when she said what she said, I thought, that's great. My mother and father, close by, things that are familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, well that's great. Describe your relationship with siblings.
I have a family. I have my brother and I. Then I have my mother has children. My father. They were both married again, so I have an extended family, a mixed family, a combined family, whatever you want to call it. At any rate, when I was growing up, my brother and I, when we had the usual rivalry, he liked oatmeal, I liked cream of wheat. And we fought. He was shorter than I was until he got to be a teenager, and we had the usual rivalry, but we got along very well together, loved and cared for one another, and we had a good relationship, and a good relationship to the day, that we talk, spend time with each other, support each other, help each other out.
They still live around this area?
No, my brother lives in Baltimore and has for the past 30 years. Doesn't live in this area. But nevertheless, we talk on the phone. He comes every once in a while, and he says, I'm taking you to my favorite place. He likes IHOP. He used to have a Saturday morning breakfast at IHOP. So he'll come, and we'll go to IHOP and have breakfast. So we have a good relationship.
Okay. What church did you go to as you were growing up, I guess?
We went to St. Aloysius, went to the Catholic Church.
Okay. That was your family church?
That was my father's family. My father's a native of St. Mary's County, and my mother is not. My mother's from North Carolina. So she met and married my father in Washington and came here to St. Mary's County to live. But that was my father's and my grandmother's parish, St. Aloysius.
Okay. What trips did you take as a child?
Oh, we used to go to North Carolina to visit my mother's mother and father. Her mother was dead. Her mother died when she was 2. So we'd go there to visit my grandfather. And we used to go to a place called Carr's Beach and visit my mother's friend in Washington. We'd go there.
Let me check. I want to check and be sure that that the volume's high enough on this. I'm going to go back a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, we're back. Let's see. How did your parents deal with health and illness? Do you remember any special cures? And did your family have a medical doctor?
My grandmother used to do a lot of things. If children had what they call cradle cap, she used to wash their heads with that soap. She used to make soap, and she'd wash their heads with the soap. If children had chest colds, she used to make something called mutton tallow, and put that on your chest, and put a flannel cloth over your chest, and those kinds of things. But for the most part, the health department, they had a health nurse that would come around and we'd get that kind of care. And then there was another, well, my grandmother used to do washing and stuffed hams for the doctor, Dr. Camellia. One time the health department said we had diphtheria, so we were quarantined in our house for like a month. You couldn't go out, couldn't go anywhere.
I'm going to put Camellia. And how, did the nurse come around on a regular time, so every so often, or just when she was called in?
I suspect, I don't know, that somehow, probably through school, you had to visit the health department, had to make sure, well, that was their primary function, supposedly, to monitor anything that was a public health issue. And the nurses came around. They came to the school, and then they would, if there was anything going on in the school, or the teacher said, well, this child looks like it might be malnourished, or there might be some problem, then the health nurse would come out. If there was a new baby, then the nurse would come out.
And do you by any chance know what that the tallow, mustard tallow, mutton tallow was
rendered sheep fat.
Was
rendered sheep fat.
And mixed with something else, you think?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any idea how your grandmother made the soap?
With ashes, water dripping through, and fat. Hog fat. Yeah, they made it over in the black pot.
Do you have any idea how was that Dr. Camellia? How that name is spelled? Remember?
It's Camelier.
Okay.
I think that's the way it's spelled.
Okay. Thanks. I-E-R.
It's a French name,
Okay.
French origin, but I'm sure it's been documented here in the history of St. Mary's County at some point somewhere.
Probably
But
so.
I don't think there's. I'm not sure that he has a line here, because he and his wife never had any children.
That was a doctor's name that I hadn't heard before, but that was where was that you grew up in?
In Leonardtown.
In Leonardtown.
In Leonardtown, right.
Okay.
And if Dr. Camelia's house is now Brinsfield's funeral home, that was his house.
Ah. Okay, that's interesting.
That was his private home.
All right, so there were a couple of special cures, and the nurse, and he was your doctor. What types of, well, let's go on to the next section, which is what types of things did you do as a child? And the first question is, what did you like to do the most, and why?
I like to read most. Ever since I can remember, that's about it. I never was very athletic. Running was okay, but reading was better. And I liked to go to the movie when I was growing up, but that's about it.
What sort of books do you remember? Did you have favorites?
Oh, I can't remember any now. I'd have to really think about some that
Or types of books?
I liked history.
Uh-huh.
Mostly history, a lot of mystery books.
Mm.
And that's about it.
So did you get most of them from the library?
Oh, no. There was no library for black people to go to here in St. Mary's County.
Uh-huh.
So
how did you get them?
Well, my mother would get them from her friend in Washington.
Imported books.
Right. You have to do that.
Okay. Actually, I don't know that there's going to be another question about that, so I'm glad that came out. What chores did you have to do?
Oh, plenty of chores. You had to wash, cook, clean, and of course the garden, you had to hoe, weed, feed, help my mother to can, and that was at my house. We used to, before we had a well, we used to have to haul water. Draw water from my great uncle's house.
Where was that?
Oh, it was about a quarter mile away.
And then how did you walk
Yes.
carry the water?
Oh yes, buckets, carrying it.
Just did you use any other way than just carrying the buckets in your hands?
Sometimes we would take it in a wheelbarrow.
Okay.
But you would lose too much that way.
Oh, yeah. How did you walk across a field or?
Walk across the state road.
Okay. And so you got all of your water that way for
Yes.
a time?
Oh, got all that water that way for at least 6-7 years.
How many trips did you make?
It was like an all day.
A day. Nice.
It was like an all day session.
Oh, and then you do it pretty much in one day, and then.
Right. Storage, barrels, tubs.
And then you wouldn't have to go again for.
Well, you wouldn't have to go for washing, that type thing. But for, hygienic purposes, you use out of this barrel, and then out of this tub, you'd fill up the tubs, and you always kept the tubs out because it would rain. You caught rainwater to provide bath water and water to wash in. So.
It's pretty hard work carrying water, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Let's see. Okay, so that pretty much covers the chores? I mean, that's quite a few.
Well, if that was when I was young, really young, but if you want to talk about, chores or things you do around your house for your household, if you want to talk about paid work, yeah, I was working when I was 11 years old.
What were you doing?
I worked at Leonard Hall. It was a school for boys. Used to wash the napkins at the table for the brothers, wash the dishes. No dishwasher, manual washing.
Right.
For about, 300 or 400 boys.
Wow. And you started that when you were 11?
Yeah.
And that went on for?
Until I was 17.
Okay. So we're talking in the early 40s.
We're talking. We're talking.
Mid-40s.
Oh, I graduated from school because they only had 11 grades here. I graduated from high school in 1949 when I was 17.
Okay. Actually, yeah, I think we will have a chance to talk about work some more. All right. Well, how did your parents treat you? What did they do with you that you remember best?
What do I do? Well, I remember my mother making me things that I remember best. Making clothes, making cooking, making cookies. That I remember that best about her. And she was fun to be with. She'd play with us, my brother and I. And my father, I don't remember much that we did with him. I remember the hogs and garden on occasion, but I don't remember that much. Most of the time he was working.
And he did the farming?
All of us did that.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone participated. I mean, it was not a single. There was no division of duties and labors. It was whoever came first and had time. Are you here? Then you do that. It was all in a collective interest for everyone. And everyone understood that.
Did he? I think we really have another place to ask that about the. He had his own farm.
No,
Okay.
He worked out. My father worked at a filling station, and he worked on the farm when he and my mother were first married. They lived and worked on Cedar Point Farm.
Okay, which was a large tobacco farm?
In Lexington Park at the site of the Naval Air Station now.
Right. It's tobacco?
Yes.
Basically.
Tobacco.
Yeah. All right. So he was working away most of the time on the Cedar Point Farm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then when he was home, he was also working around.
Well, yes.
Your place. Yeah. Okay.
Because you had to have firewood. Your source of heat is firewood. You had to have light. Even into the 1940s, your source of light was coal oil lamps.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have electric lights.
And those had to be filled and
That's right,
and
filled
trimmed.
and trimmed, and your shades had to be washed and kept up. You had to go to the store and bring the coal oil home.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of it. You had to have firewood. You had to cut wood in order to keep your fire going. You had to take the ashes out. You had to clean the stove out. Yes.
And in your copious free time, you read. No, I'm not supposed to say anything. All right. All right. Well, how did they discipline you if you ever did anything you needed to be disciplined for? And what were you disciplined for, if so?
I was disciplined for a lot of things. You didn't talk back. And talk back meant that you interrupted or you tried to speak out of turn, as they would say, in quotations. Out of turn being, if my mother was speaking or my father was speaking, you didn't say anything. Then there would be a time for you to respond or make your case or give your information, but you didn't speak out of turn. Everyone disciplined you. Anyone who was an adult could discipline you. My grandmother disciplined. My great-grandmother, who was a slave, was alive when I was small, and she disciplined. Everyone disciplined you. And my grandmother would say, you need to get a switch. And she'd tell you what size and what kind that you had to get. Get a long willow switch with long sprangles on it. She said, I don't want to work too hard. She'd hit you one time, and all the sprangles would hit you like 25 more. So she was using economy of effort. She would hit you one time, and all those other things would just wrap around you and hit you that many more times. But my mother was a disciplinarian. She would say, you know you did this. She didn't discipline you at the time that something happened, because she wasn't going to whip you in front of company. She wasn't going to whip you. Then she said, now you remember you did thus and so, and she would save it. And then one day, for even some small infraction, you think, she would whip you. I mean, she would whip you. She had a paddle.
Oh, a paddle.
Oh, yes. She had a paddle, and she had a place to hit you. She would put your head between her legs, and she would put her legs around your thighs, and your behind would be right at her knees. And she'd take that paddle and go whack your behind. She never pinched, pulled. She never beat your legs. She never slapped your face. She never did any of those things. But she would whip your butt.
So, did that happen to you often?
No.
No.
Didn't happen often, and as I can say, it was probably well deserved. My brother and I both were punished like that.
Okay, well, thanks for being so descriptive. And, well, do you have any examples of, well, you said, okay, what you were disciplined for, like talking out of turn.
Talking out of turn. Just the things that kids do. You'd pour stuff down, just doing things that go out there. And I told my mother that I didn't find any eggs, because I hated walking in a chicken yard. And I'd say, well, I didn't see any eggs, so I wouldn't go out there and get them. I hated that. And she'd go out there, or somebody else would go out there. Oh, yeah, there's about half a dozen eggs in here. Well, they were there when you went there. So you get a whipping for that. And mostly I got a whipping for my mouth, for talking.
Out of turn.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel that your parents prepared you well for life? I know my mother did. Because she was the person who talked about what you could expect, things to sort of gave you a pattern for life. She was the person who did that. Told you what things you might look for when you go out there. You might find this, this, and this in her experience. So, yes. And anything that you want to say about your father?
My father, after he and my mother got a divorce, which was very acrimonious, very bitter, we saw him infrequently at times, and he would try. He'd say, well, I still care about you. I still am concerned about you. But we just didn't see him that much. And didn't.
How old were you when they divorced?
I was, must have been 14, 15.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just talk about school. Describe your formal schooling, and how did you get to school? Where did you go to school?
I went to Banneker school, and for the 11 years of schooling that I got, I went to, because they had a first grade to the 11th grade, and we went to school on a bus
They came by your house.
that
Picked you
came
up.
by my house. Right. Cold and rattly and old, frequently broken down.
Mm. And that was was that St. Mary's County school bus?
I guess it was. I guess the county
Huh.
owned those school buses.
Uh-huh.
There were 2 that I can remember.
So, but it went through 11th and not 12th grade.
There was no 11th grade before,
Well, yeah.
at least not at Banneker, before 1959, I believe. And they had a 12th grade. It was mandated by the state. Prior to that, no.
In 1959.
I think it was in 1959.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's okay. All right, so they picked you up. And what was your classroom like?
It was
Was that
The
grade school? You went to Banneker through, that was grade school through 11th, right?
Right.
Okay, so.
right through the whole school.
Yeah.
It was an old building, an old wooden building, and
What kind of heat?
wood stove. You went, I think it was the first 5 grades. They went to right.
And
Then we went to a place called Maryland Springs, which was a 6th and 7th grade. Had 2 grades in it. It was a one-room school, and it had a wood heat. We cooked there. We had a teacher, Miss Alice Young. She would bring beans, and she'd bring things to cook. So we had hot lunch. The boys were responsible for bringing in wood for the stove. And that was 6th and 7th grade. Then you went back to Banneker for the remainder of the grades.
But how many students would be in that 6th and 7th she taught together?
Right.
About, have any idea?
We'd have maybe 40 students, maybe
And
a little more.
it was one room, though?
One room, yes.
40. Well, who is your favorite and your least favorite teacher, and why?
My favorite teacher was Miss Young, Alice Young. That's why I remember her, because she was a very positive person, a lady who talked about the things you would need to know in order to be successful in your life. Just that you can satisfy yourself, you can be happy. You can earn a good living. You can live in a decent place. So, the basic things. She was very positive about that.
She inspired you.
Right. Besides teaching the basic things about English and math and practical things, she had a way of making them relevant to the outside world, not teaching that in some kind of academic way that had no meaning to what you would face when you went in the world.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do you have a least favorite, or do you want to say anything about that?
I went to another school. I went to school in Washington after my mother and father divorced. I went to Peace Street School in Northwest, John F. Cook School in Washington. And I also went to Fairmount Heights School in Maryland.
Was that, did you,
which was
did
different.
you come back to?
Then I came back.
Yeah, and you came back.
Then I
okay.
came back to Banneker.
And that was, how was it different?
It was different coming back to St. Mary's County. It was just a different experience because people in the city certainly had a different lifestyle and just different.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure that I have a least favorite teacher. I don't remember. All of the teachers in my experience, my school experience, were certainly helpful. I did not have anyone who was demeaning, anyone who made you feel stupid or small or any of those things. I never found that to be the case. So I don't have a particularly least favorite teacher. I don't have any such person.
I don't think
Thank heavens.
Yeah. What about subjects? What was your favorite? What did you like the best? What did you like the least?
Well, literature, reading, that math, I liked math least. And I guess math just did not stick in my brain like it should have, but it didn't.
I can relate. Anything else you want to say about that?
Well, I liked in some of the subjects that I didn't have it in high school or even in grade school, but I liked psychology. I liked that.
Did you have any arts? Did you sing or do any art?
Oh yes, that's part of the school experience, and it's taught as a matter of course. You know, you had time to sing, you had time to plan, to do artwork, you had time to play. So it was part of. It was not as for when out my school experience. It was not seen as something different and extra, and you're learning something. Or another subject. It was part of being in school. As far as I'm concerned, the school experience was just an extension of your home life. You know, it was something, just an extension of that. It was not, this is my home life and this is my school life, and somehow they don't connect. That was not my experience. It was like a continuous thing.
But then, and you have training beyond the 11th grade though too, right? Because
yes, I went to after the 11th grade. I went to Livingston College for a year in North Carolina, and then I went to Henryton Training School in Northern Maryland for licensed practical nursing, which I graduated from there, worked. I graduated from there in 1955.
Okay. What were your dreams of becoming as a young adult when you thought about your life as an adult when you were younger? What sorts of things did you imagine yourself doing?
I really didn't imagine myself doing anything other than working, and I'm not sure working at what. Mm-hmm. I thought once I became a nurse, I thought, well, I liked that, working at it, and that was it. And I did work at it for the next 40 years.
Did you, what about dreams about either other work or family or material things? Did you have any other? Material things, what do you mean? Acquiring
material
I mean,
things?
I'm thinking about, when you were younger, what were your dreams? Yeah. Did you think about what kind of home you might have? Or, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm just
What I envisioned was adequate, a roof over my head and food in my mouth. And what I think about now, I feel that if I have a decent place to lay my head and if I can eat, that is my aspiration every day. Anything else is great.
Okay. Very, very tied to reality, huh?
That's.
Well, I'm not supposed to comment. Okay, it's very hard.
I know.
I like to have a conversation.
That's what Elma said.
Okay. Okay. As a teenager, did your parents let you court?
Oh yes. Sure.
Where would you go? What would you do? What were their attitudes?
In St. Mary's County at that particular time, there were a lot of bars, and that's where you went, to bars and dance hall. And I went.
What did your parents or your mother have a say about who you went out with, or
oh,
did
yes.
she interview them, or how did that happen?
Well, she'd want to meet them, and she did meet them, and that was it. She'd say, "Well, this one, I don't particularly care for that person, or I think he's okay," is what she would say, and that would be it. We never had a fight about who was okay or who wasn't okay. So.
Where would you
meet? She was pretty astute. They came to my house. There was no meeting somebody out on the road or down the road or wherever, because they had to come to the house because she had to see them, see who they were.
Okay, and then you would go out to the clubs.
Right. Yes.
And okay. Well, now, what about when you first went out on your own? I guess moved away from your parents' home?
Well, when I moved away, I went away to Henryton. And they used to go to Fort Meade. We used to go out there because it was a big Army base. And they would send a bus to the nursing school, and the nurses would go to the Army camp, go out there to their dances and whatever affairs they had.
Okay. Other than the social, so you were going there to go to school?
Right.
Okay, we know that. And let's see, it says, where did you go? Why? What did you do? Well, you went to enroll in the college. And was that something that you had always planned to do, something your mother had agreed to?
What?
Going away to go to school.
Well, it was a matter of economic survival. You had to have a job, and you had to have a way to get money. I mean, in St. Mary's County at that particular time, there wasn't a lot to do. What would you do? How would you get a job? There's not any economic structure here to have you work, other than to work in white people's kitchen, cleaning, scrubbing, more of that. And that wasn't really something that I felt I wanted to do. There was something else to do. So.
And were there other training opportunities?
There were none here in St. Mary's County. I don't think there was any here in the Tri-County area, to my knowledge.
Okay. What was the money situation like for you when you went off to do this? Further your education.
You didn't have any. It was my mother. As I say, she was very handy with a needle. She sewed. She did a lot of things. And that's where the money came from. My father contributed some, and a lot of it depended on my relatives, my father's sisters. They would send me money, give me money, that type thing.
Okay, well, now we're going to talk about work. What you started talking about, what you did working at Leonard Hall. Leonard, is that right?
Leonard Hall?
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
Right. So it's where the governmental center is now.
Yeah, I mean, it's still functioning as a boys' school, isn't it?
No.
It's not?
No, it's the governmental center.
Yeah, but I mean, but there is still a school
That little
for
round building there.
boys,
Yeah.
Leonard Hall.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's there.
Because I know
But it's a
somebody that taught
private.
there.
It's a private school there.
Right.
It's not. It's not run by the
Same.
Zavarian brothers,
Oh, which it was.
which it was at that
Okay.
time, and they occupied all of that building, all the building where the governmental center is, everything in there.
Okay. All right. And so it asks, what kind of work have you done to support yourself?
Okay.
And okay, so I guess we'll just start that.
Well, I worked, as I say, at Leonard Hall. Worked in the kitchen, washed dishes, prepared vegetables, waited on the tables, scrubbed the floors, cleaned the toilets, did all those things at Leonard Hall. I worked in private service when I was in Salisbury. I worked in a dress shop there, cleaning, marking the merchandise. I have never been without a paying job since I was 11 years old.
Did we talk about you being in Salisbury?
What about being in Salisbury?
You didn't mention that, did you, before?
I told you I went to Livingston College.
Oh, that was in
1 year.
Salisbury. Oh, all right, that's Salisbury. All right.
Salisbury, North Carolina.
I was thinking of, when you said Salisbury, I was thinking of the Eastern Shore.
No.
Yeah, okay. No wonder. I thought, wait a minute, we didn't talk about being on the Eastern Shore. Okay. Sorry. Well, it says, how did you get to your work? That's a lot of different answers.
How did I get my work?
How'd you get, transportation?
Transportation. Well, you'd catch a ride. Some you walked. When I was in Salisbury, they had public transportation. That was in the 1950s, so I rode public transportation. Other than that, after about the mid-1950s, when I was married, I had a car, so drove back and forth to work. I worked at St. Mary's Hospital and worked in New Rochelle Hospital, worked in Washington Hospital Center, worked at St. Mary's Hospital again. Not only that, held other jobs. A friend of mine and I had a cleaning service, and worked in a bar.
Doing
bartending. While I worked at St. Mary's Hospital.
Oh, so 2 jobs.
Yes.
Well, and so the question is, why did you choose this work? Well, in this case, it's a lot of different work. And
the reason being, you needed money, and you didn't make a lot of money in any one particular job, so you had to have a lot of jobs to pay.
Do you want to say anything about why you chose nursing?
Because there was always a market for nursing. I mean, you could always get a job. You would always be paid. When I went to New York, you could always. I mean, as I say, I've never been without a job, because everywhere you went, it never paid a lot of money, but you could always get a job.
Okay. And was it difficult?
There is no question that nursing is difficult. It was back in 1955, and it's the same 1995, and that was when I last worked in a hospital.
Was that at St. Mary's Hospital in
St. Mary's,
1995?
right.
Is that when you retired?
Yes.
So that's very recently.
It's always been very difficult. It's very hard because you're dealing first of all, not with books and papers that you can put down someplace and it'll stay there or it won't cause you any problem. You're dealing with people. You're dealing with a service. It's always been a service industry, and people don't always do or act in predictable ways. So,
Yes. Okay. All right. Do you want to say anything about what the work has meant to you? It's just what did it mean to you?
It has meant to me that I've been productive. I have, when people talk about paying dues and paying their way and what the world owes them or what they owe the world, I don't. I have been productive, and I have been a contributing member of society. I have never been on welfare since I was an adult, although I was on welfare when I was a child. We did get money, but since I've been an adult, I've never had any public charity or anything like that. So that's what it has meant to me. It's meant economic freedom, and that's it.
What about, do you remember any specifics about salary? The question is, how much money did you make? You're talking about a lot of different jobs and a lot of time, span of time.
When I
Are there
first,
particular salaries you remember?
when I first started to work at St. Mary's Hospital, I made $1.75 an hour.
As an LPN?
Right.
And when when was
In
that?
1955.
Wow. And when you retired, as a contrast?
It's the same in $1955.
Okay, so
It's
what would
the
that be
equivalent.
for-
It's
yeah.
it's the equivalent. The same. It's the same in $1955. It is really.
So close to minimum wage? would it
It's
be?
really not that much better.
Not that much better than minimum wage?
No, it's better than minimum wage, but it's
Yeah.
not that much better.
Okay. It says, describe a day on the job.
Oh, a day on the job. You want a 1955 day, or do you want a 1995 day?
Well, you might contrast them. That might be really interesting.
Well, a 1955 day. At that time, St. Mary's Hospital was segregated, and most of the black patients were in what used to be like a little white building that was there on the second floor. And all of the patients were there, maternity, medical, surgical patients. Everyone was there. And a typical day would be feeding, seeing that people had their food, seeing that they had clean beds, and administering what medications at that time, which really weren't a lot. And just sort of taking care of the patients. If somebody came and delivered a baby, you had a baby to clean up and take care of. And that was it. And on certain days, the surgeons usually came from Baltimore. Dr. Loca used to come from Baltimore to do surgery.
That's as in L-O-K-E-R?
Right. And when he came down, he did surgery, brought a patient back. Patients were resuscitated, or patients were awakened right there in the room.
So there was there either a nursery? Was there a nursery?
There was a room that the babies, were kept in.
Okay, and this was segregated also.
Oh yes, the whole system was segregated.
It was it separate room or separate rooms
Separate
or
wing.
separate building? A wing.
Separate wing.
Okay.
Okay.
And then so there really wasn't a recovery room.
No
Right.
recovery
Okay,
room.
No recovery room.
No. Those patients were brought back to the floor, and deliveries and recoveries or resuscitation of those patients. Everything was done in one locale, one place, one location, right there on that floor.
And can you estimate how many patients to how many nurses? Like how many nurses were there working at one time?
When I came there to work in 1955, there were 2 nurses' aides.
And one nurse?
No.
Oh, okay.
There were 2 nurses' aides when I came there to work.
Okay.
Right. When I came there to work, there was 1 nurse, myself, and a nurse's aide.
And and no RNs.
No. Well, they had RNs, white RNs,
right,
on the other wing.
Would they ever be called in, or
called in for what?
If there was a need, too many patients, or a special problem or something?
Maybe for a special problem, but not for too many patients.
What happened if it got too crowded? Did that ever happen?
If it got too crowded, someone was sent home. Or you put the patient in the hall, beds in the hall.
And there was and what about the doctors? How many, were there any black doctors?
No.
No, okay. And so the doctors took care of all the patients in the hospital, the same doctors, right?
There was one black doctor. He came for a little while in 1955, but he could not get full privileges, so he left.
Okay, and well, you want to contrast that to then working in the newly integrated. Do you know when the hospital integrated?
Oh, now this is difficult. See, and this is what I ask about times.
Well,
I'm
that's
trying
okay.
to try to remember what time. I want to say
early 60s?
Probably in the early 60s.
Okay.
Probably so.
Did that coincide with the more hospital, or how did that work?
Yes, there was a new wing put on the hospital. And then after they had the new wing put on the hospital, they would still put black patients in rooms with black patients, white patients in rooms with white patients. So.
And how did that? Well, is that still true?
That's not true. No, not at the present time.
Okay. Do you remember anything about that transition in terms of how smooth or how rough it was?
It did not go smoothly.
Any kind of incidents, or
it did not go smoothly. You know, there were people. Well, I don't want any black people in the room with me. And family members getting upset. And you really can't say for sure, even to today, I cannot say for sure that there wasn't some concerted effort or pattern in which patients were placed in rooms. I can't say that today.
One thing is that people one option would be to get a private room, I suppose.
Oh, yes.
As a way of...
Sure, of circumventing.
Yeah.
And that happened.
And then, but did they hire then any more African-American nurses or doctors?
No. There are very few. There have been very few African-Americans or black, whatever is the current term that you want to use, politically correct or any other ways correct. African-American, black, African-American, whatever. They have had, over the years, some black LPNs, some black RNs, very few. I would venture to guess no more than 10. And since the time I worked there.
Was the situation like if we're contrasting your day sort of in 1955 and 1995?
Well, in 1995,
how did it change things for you?
How did it change things for me? Well, in 1995, by that time I worked several floors and units, but I was working in the emergency department, and that way people come in, you take them back, you get a history, and you have the doctor see them, you have treatments, you do a lot of things, and you're working a 12-hour day versus an 8-hour day.
Really? So I mean, is that an overtime? I mean,
No, it's a regular time, but you work 3 days in a week, and you work a 12-hour day.
Very interesting.
Yes, it is interesting. And sooner or later, someone was going to come up with a study to say, that is not good. It's not good for the people who are doing it, and it's not good for the patients who are receiving care after a person has been there for 8 hours. It's not good.
Yeah, so because
people lose their concentration. They are not as apt to get everything right. They're not as sharp, and it just is not. It's not good practice.
Do you think that's a typical practice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a 12-hour day is standard in hospital. Yeah.
Huh. And then days off. Wow. Okay. Okay. Well, big switch here. What do you remember about your wedding or weddings? Assuming you had some.
Right. I was only married once. And what do I remember about my wedding? I remember it was a long day. Oh, I thought it was a long day. And that's about it. And I remember the best man. What happened with him? Something happened with him. Was he in an accident and didn't make it? So we had to press one of our friends into service, and that was it.
Oh my goodness!
I remember that.
Where were you married?
At St. Aloysius.
And okay, when were you married?
I was married in 1955.
Oh, okay, 1955. And how did you meet your husband?
I met him because I was working in the bar in another town. That's how I met him. He was stationed at the Naval Air Station.
Okay.
He's from New York.
I
met him there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And why did you decide to get married?
We decided to get married because we felt we needed to get married, and he was a nice guy. He's a wonderful guy, very nice man, and we just decided to get married.
Okay. For all the right reasons. Huh? Okay. What about a honeymoon? Did you take a honeymoon, and what was that like?
No, not really. We had sort of a honeymoon. We went to Baltimore to my friend.
Everlyn Holland at St. Mary's College, November 16th. This is tape number 2. Okay, we're starting off with the question, what has your family life been like? If you'd like to describe your marriage a little bit, your relationship with your spouse.
My relationship with my spouse was very good. We had a very good understanding, a good working relationship. He was kind and very supportive. He was not an abusive person, or either verbally or any other way. He was just just there for you to support you and help you.
Mm.
I couldn't have had a better marriage.
That's wonderful. Okay. What about, how would you describe your relationship with your children and your grandchildren, if you have grandchildren?
I do. I have two grandchildren. I love them. Tell them that all the time. Try to support them in everything they're doing. Schoolwork, babysat for them. My grandson, whatever, he was just like another child of mine, and have a good relationship with him. He can talk to me. I can talk to them. And with my children, I've tried to be supportive with them, and as far as school has been, supported them, saw that they had what they need at home to succeed with, helped them as far as I could. They all of those who wanted to go to school, not just went to school, but went to college. My youngest daughter is a mortician, and she's teaching now in the Baltimore City Public Schools. My son's an accountant. He works for NASA. And my oldest daughter is a contract specialist, and she works on the base. So.
Does your son live, where does he live?
He lives in Washington.
So they're all in the area?
Well, Baltimore, Washington, and St. Mary's County. My oldest daughter lives here in St. Mary's County. So.
That's nice. Okay. Well, we're just clipping right along. All right. What about religion? What part has religion played in your life? And what church do you attend?
I attend St. Aloysius Church, and I say I am of the Catholic faith. However, I have reservations about what happens in the Catholic Church. It's just difficult. The ritualistic part is, as far as I'm concerned, okay. But in my life, there has always been a barrier. It's not as if what I believe. I believe in something other than people have control and guidance, and what that is, who that is, or how it is. I have a little bit of a problem formulating that. But I don't see any other religious organization offering any more. I'm none of that has altered what I believe. So I attend the Catholic Church.
Okay. Well, this next question is, how do you know there is a God?
Because God, if that's what you want to call it, God, Yahweh, Allah, Jesus, whatever name you want to apply to a supreme being, whatever. There has to be something. I don't think those of us who are here now, or even people who went before us, were capable of what is here. So as far as I'm concerned, there has to be some supreme being, someone, something other than us. We just are humans, or in the form we exist here on this planet. We're just too incomplete. We just aren't. We aren't wise enough. We aren't compassionate enough. We aren't a lot of things enough to say that we are the end, or what we feel is the infinite. It just doesn't happen. So there has to be some other. Now, I'm not saying that it's all for good or it's all for bad or it's all evens out in the long run, however it comes out. But there is something other than humans who guides what goes on.
Something other than humans or animals
or something
plants
other than
or-
what is here on this planet.
Okay, thank you. The other question here is, what is your relationship with Jesus? Do you have a comment on that?
What is my relationship with Jesus?
I mean,
Okay.
I don't know whether that's an apt question or not.
My relationship with Jesus is, if you want to talk about the context in which the Judeo-Christian says he is the Son of God. Okay. Well, if you look back in history or you study history, there have been in the past, before Jesus' time, many myths about a god and a goddess and a son. And in fact, I'm reading a book right now that speaks to that. It's very strange. And it talks about the gods having a son that was half human so he could know the human condition. So I feel that indeed this might be. It might be true. I really don't know. And as far as I'm concerned, it's immaterial. If it's a teaching, something to help me to learn, to anchor me to whatever is infinite, it's okay with me. In whatever name you want to put on it. If you want his name to be Jesus, if you want his name to be any of the other prophets or children of God, that's okay.
What's the book, may I ask?
I can't even think of the
The
name
title?
of it.
Oh, okay.
It's called I think it's the story of God. It talks about the origin of the Judeo-Christian Jewish religion, Christian religion, and the Muslims religion.
This doesn't specifically ask this, but I was wondering about the racial makeup of your congregation at St. Aloysius, and if it's changed over time, or if it's predominantly black or predominantly.
It's predominantly white because there isn't any. I mean, you have a few, and we were having that discussion at the lunch table about. I doubt if under the age of 30 there are, other than children who are under 18, I doubt if there are more than 10 black males. I just didn't. And there are not a lot of black parishioners.
Was there a time when the seating in the church was segregated?
Of course, it was segregated church, and in fact, one of my aunt's bitterest memories is the fact that they tried to have black altar boys when her son was growing up, and they wouldn't allow it. Took the robes that he wore, took those off. The parishioners would not receive, and that was during the time when they held a little plate under your mouth to give you communion. You went to the rail. The parishioner wouldn't accept communion from him. So wouldn't accept him just to hold the plate. It wasn't communion. The priest gave communion, but just to hold the plate. No. Would not accept that, which was a blow to my aunt. I don't think my aunt is a very religious woman. She goes to church every Sunday, but I don't think she has ever forgiven that. She might have forgiven it. She's never forgotten it because she talks about it periodically over time. She'll talk about it. So she hasn't forgotten it.
That reminds me of a story that was in my time about a young woman who went down to take communion at the wrong time.
Right. And that happened too.
Mm-hmm.
Person went. She was a young woman. I mean, child, just about, and she got up and went there inadvertently, or too fast for her parent to grab her back. I mean, priest told her, "You have to go back."
Okay. All right. What community activities do you participate in? And I guess this is really more of a present question. Club activities, church activities, holidays, reunions, fairs, bingo, etc.
I'm not a big bingo fan.
Okay.
I went because I would go to bingo and work at bingo when my daughter went to Father Andrew White. But I'm not a bingo person. To go to bingo and play bingo or any of that type thing. But I belong to and been a part of a lot of community groups and whatnot. I'm part of the NAACP, part of local community groups. During the 60s, 50s, and 60s when they were doing integration here in the county, my husband and I worked very diligently to bring about integration of the public schools. And
was that through the NAACP, through other organizations?
Through the NAACP, through an organization called Citizens for Progress, and in a lot of other just personal intervention. So during that time, and right now I belong to, a group called Delicados. We do community projects, that kind of thing, and that's about it. I was working, doing some volunteer work up in Waldorf for Health Partners, volunteering up there. I did that for a couple of months. Then I got a job.
Could you say a little bit more about was it Citizens for Progress? Was that yeah. During that time, a little bit more about what that organization did.
Citizens for Progress was a group of people, community people, that involved themselves in voter registration. They wrote a cookbook, got the cookbook together. Very nice, called 300 Years of Black Cooking in St. Rose County. And has wonderful recipes in it. Has the history of stuffed ham. Yes.
Never showed me that.
And they did a lot of work. They had a community center. In fact, they were the group in which is rooted the the credit union up in Oakville. They started that group. So a lot of things came out of that.
And are most of the people that were involved in that still around the community?
No, not really. A lot of those people are some of the people are still in the community, but a lot of those people have passed because they were older people when they started, and a lot of them are deceased.
Okay. How are we doing?
We've got 5 minutes.
Okay. How do you feel? This is a small question. I'm sorry. How do you feel about life in general today?
Oh my dear.
Okay. This suggests, in what ways is it different from the way it used to be? It's so broad. It's kind of paralyzing, perhaps. But and is the quality of life better or worse now, and why? So, anything you want to say about how you feel it's different and just the quality of life here?
Okay. 5 minutes, that will do it. Well, of course, life is different, yet it's the same. I think people continue to say, about young people are this, or each generation complains about the generation coming, but if you go back, you'll see it's a repetitious story, is the same. People were lamenting the same thing about other people, other generations, saying they are out of control, they don't have manners, they're disrespectful. Same thing. We each hear it. So that is not new. What is new is the advances in technology and things. I think, like my son tells me, technological advances have far outstripped humans, us. We are becoming obsolete, because you talk about looking at the screen and someone will say, this is higher resolution, this is finer, this is better. Our eyes cannot perceive that as well as they should. Same way with hearing. When they make all of these speakers, now when you tune it, it is better. It is better when they measure it by some other machine, not by what we hear. So it's different. In that way, life has changed and is different. I don't think that we are any more or any less humane today than we were a long time ago. I think we might be just a little bit more, maybe a little bit more indifferent. Indifferent to other people's situation. Not overtly so, but in more subtle ways. Indifferent. Not so sensitive to people. So maybe that's different. I remember in my grandmother's time, she used to have this big table, and she fed everybody. People came off the street, no, and there wasn't any soup kitchen or people. Oh, come on in, sit down, and fed everyone, which doesn't happen anymore. Doesn't happen anymore. So that's what I mean by people have become a little more insensitive to each other and its feelings. And you find that even in families, when you get that kind of division or something there, rather than being supportive and listening to your family members, that doesn't happen. People are, and the sad part to me is, people can't say, well, it started, there's no time when it started, and they don't know what happened. Which is, if it happened because you stole my money.
Specific event.
Right. You can relate to that. You stole my money, so I'm angry with you. That's the reason why. Just all of a sudden, I'm not seeing you, I'm not talking to you, or when's the last time I spoke to you?
Just the growing apart.
Just the growing apart. For no apparent reason.
Yeah.
So that's a change. That's a change.
Do you? It sounds like you have you relate to a lot of that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you had any, before we finished, any kind of question for Mrs. Holland or comment that you wanted to make. Do you have a question? Or do you want to agree with or disagree with something?
I don't disagree with nothing she's saying. It's right. She's right in everything she's saying.
She's right in
I was
everything
telling you
she's
right
saying.
down all. She was telling you right of everything. That's the way it is. That's the way it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions you think we should add?
I got nothing now. She done said the truth of everything.
Her truth, certainly, at
Yes.
least. Yeah.
We each have our own truth.
But it's interesting, isn't it, to hear somebody else talk about your own history too.
Certainly is.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Now, we have a commonality, a common ground from which we spring. So, yes.
Yeah.
I remember when we would go walking downtown. I used to pick people up. I used to always pick people up, and people would say to me, "I'm going to give you. I'll give you $1."
Yeah.
And I say, well, "Why are you giving me $1?" Well, I want to give you something because I said I have to go where you going.
Yeah, that's right.
I never understood that. Well, they'd say, well, so and so when he or she comes down, I have to give them $1. And I
That's
think,
right.
okay, whatever you say, but I'm not taking $1 because
That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it is.
oh yes,
And some people charge.
right.
They don't charge anything.
No,
And I'm the same way. Like that too.
Gonna
I got something to
give you,
somebody.
gonna give it to you, right,
From the heart.
from the heart,
Not from the mouth.
right, right, because it's gonna come back to you.
It is.
It's the same
That's
way.
true.
Always give. So give whatever,
Yeah.
because you're gonna get it back.
Get back
What
up.
goes around comes around.
That's right.
Karma.
And you're going to get it
Get
back.
back
That's
up.
that's the way I feel.
That's the way I
and
feel
that has
too.
happened in my life.
That's what
Well,
happened.
I said, "Oh, I sure would like to have, or I need," but I've never been without. I've never been hungry. Always had a place to live.
So you've worked hard.
Oh yes, I didn't get wealthy, but
No, but
I have a house to live in and car to drive.
You had 3 children.
I have 3 children.
that's right. I had house full of children. I
She
had
had
a car, but I didn't drive near one.
Yeah, that you didn't.
Somebody else driving on it.
10 children.
Yes,
Remember the
indeed.
Fender I used to work for?
Yes,
Charles.
Charles, right.
Bought me 4 cars.